not on? Test, test. There we go. We're going to get started here in a quick second, and during the program, don't mind that someone's going to come up here, and we're just going to switch out the map. When the sheriff comes up to speak, he will actually take the mic over to the map, so don't worry that it's way over there. We will get to that. We're going to start here in about, I know we're supposed to be live in about 1.5 minutes. If we need any Spanish interpretation, you can go to the back of the room, and we have interpreters who can help you. So thank you for being here. Hopefully we have a lot watching online. Really appreciate everyone coming here today. What we're going to do before we bring up our speakers today and then go into Q&A, I wanted to open it with a video that our team put together. We're going to put these on Channel 20, our CSB TV Channel 20 on cable. We'll release it on social media and on our website, and so we're going to keep videos coming so you guys really have, so everyone has an opportunity to see what's happening out in the field. So if we can roll that.
This was around 3 a.m. Shortly after we started getting calls of a vegetation fire and an orange glow in Montecito. A lot of residents thought it might have been the Thomas fire reigniting. That then changed to a structure fire call, and Montecito Fire Department, which was really close in proximity to that, wasn't able to respond because of all the mud flow and debris. So we had resources coming in along with other agencies, and they were being met with that same resistance. They couldn't get to where they needed to go.
You had an active rescue operation going on there, so at the same time we needed some lightfall to be able to even see what we were doing. First thing you have to do is you have to get a roadway opened up, and even if that was driving through a foot of mud and just had the boulders out of the way, then that's what happened.
We're about 2 weeks into the recovery. We've got a lot of the heavy equipment that are still working. That first couple hours of the mud flow and debris, it basically wiped the houses clean off their foundation.
After getting the basic roadway open and the creeks at least flowing to some minimal amount, now we're trying to expand the capacity. And so the capacity of the drainage channels, which are severely constrained now. A lot of debris has come down, and we've opened them up. We've opened up the bridges. But they don't have the capacity that they had before the storm. And that's a long process to get that back. We have to get the roads back to full width, which are pretty much open now to full width. But signs are lost, so we've got to get signs back done if there's striping that we need to get done. Bridges need to be evaluated for safety, both state and county bridges evaluated for safety.
It's going to be a long recovery. We've got the utilities we've got to get up and running, the water, power, gas. We've got to clear these areas, get rid of the debris, and just clear it out, and then start the recovery process for all the homeowners and try and figure out what their next steps are going to be.
Everybody found a role to play, and there is no unimportant role anymore. Everybody found their place and went to work and have been working nonstop since because of their commitment.
I saw a lot of hard work by a lot of individuals, and it didn't matter what color the uniform they had on, whether they were law, fire, construction, nurse, or just an innocent bystander. A lot of people came together and really worked hard, and it just shows the spirit, not only of these people, but just of humanity, that they can come together in a time of need and help people that they don't even know. And that was encouraging to see, and you knew it was going to happen, but it still doesn't take away from how good that made you feel to see how those people came together.
Thank you, and that was actually edited and compiled by Lyle Wagnick in our Public Works Department. Quick announcement before we get started. We have slips in the back in the lobby to put your questions in, and there's a bucket to drop it in, and we'll be going through those and bring them up. Also, we did the same thing at the community meeting last week. So we've actually got those. We're preparing those to put on the website. And when we do have those posted, we'll also put messaging out that those are there. And anything from tonight, we can also add to that. So we're going to start tonight with Deputy Fire Chief Kevin Taylor with Montecito Fire Protection District.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here this afternoon. As Gina said, my name's Kevin Taylor, and I'm the Division Chief for Operations at the Montecito Fire Department. I wanted to report to you that there was a very smooth transition from Incident Management Team 3 to the Emergency Operations Center this morning, and that the recovery operation is in full swing while we continue to search for the 2 community members that remain missing. There has been an amazing amount of work completed today towards that goal of repopulation, and you'll hear a little bit more about that from Sheriff Brown later this evening. We're very proud of the work that 2 of our most capable fire district employees are doing in the EOC to help coordinate this repopulation, and I will be available after for any questions regarding the emergency response or our role in that. Thank you.
And I always do this. I forget to introduce myself, Gina DePinto from the County of Santa Barbara. But also I'd like to recognize that we have County Supervisor Board Chair Joan Hartman here today, and also 1st District Supervisor Doss Williams. So thank you very much for being here. Next up is Rob Lewin, our Director of the Office of Emergency Management.
Good afternoon. The media brought to our attention today something we were not aware of, and I want to address this. 30 hours prior to the storm, as you all know, we issued a mandatory evacuation order and a voluntary evacuation order. We issued this warning via our Aware and Prepare alerting system, and we did it from Gaviota to past the county line into Ventura. We did not give a description of the areas. Instead, we instructed people to go to the interactive map, which accurately gave the location of the voluntary and mandatory evacuation areas. Over 226,000 contacts were made. Those contacts were made using landlines with voice messages, text message, phone lines, email, and Nixle. Regrettably, however, also 30 hours prior to the storm, I approved a press release and a Facebook post that had discrepancies with the western boundary of our intended voluntary evacuation area. The mandatory evacuation area was correct. As you know, the interactive map provides visual tools to best identify one location in reference to the evacuation areas. The county Twitter info and our targeted Aware and Prepare alerting system was consistent with our directions to use the interactive map for evacuation information. Our local news and printed media did refer the community to the interactive map. The interactive map had tens of thousands of views prior to the storm's event. And we do intend to use this interactive map in the future, as we did during the Thomas fire, the Thomas flood, and we will for the upcoming storm risk analysis that we'll provide to the community.
And we will all stay to the end for questions during the program, and then after the program is ended, we'll still be here to answer questions. Next up is Tom Fayram with our County Flood Control.
Thank you. I'm going to provide a brief update on our work both in flood control and transportation. I was informed that to date, the Corps of Engineers has issued almost $24 million in contracts to clear out debris basins. That's good news. To date, over 40,000 cubic yards has been removed, much of this material being large rock that is too large to lift or truck off and must be broken up into pieces on site and then hauled off. Progress has been steady and increasing on the Cold Springs Basin, which you actually saw a clip of it on that video. The San Ysidro Basin and the Montecito Basin is now complete. Control of water is causing problems on other basins, but additional resources have been brought in to help make progress on those other basins. In terms of the channels that were also referenced in the message earlier, The opening of those streams is mostly complete. However, they continue to fill in, and we will have to return and do additional work as we would expect through the season. That work is also waiting for ultimate debris removal from the Corps of Engineers when they receive funding from FEMA. In transportation, our road conditions are improving every day. There's still much work to do. Permanent repairs to structures, traffic devices, and additional cleanup and restoration work. We ask for your patience when returning and would remind you it's imperative that no debris from private property be put either in creek channels or in the public road right-of-way. Any public right-of-way, it's imperative that that material not be put on those public facilities. Thank you.
Next, we have Captain Cindy Ponce with California Highway Patrol.
Good afternoon. We are happy to report that the morning commute went very smoothly this morning. We still are encouraging people to carpool and to utilize public transportation, as the 101 is still heavily impacted by truck traffic, and it will continue to be impacted for several months as they clear the debris basin. We want you to drive carefully around these trucks and give yourself some extra time as you're traveling to and from work in your commute. Caltrans is currently inspecting the damaged bridges along the 192. They should have their inspection reports completed very soon. We do know that some of the bridges were damaged and could need to be replaced, so we have that ahead of us in the future too. Caltrans will be continuing some work on the 101 at night, beginning tomorrow night, so please expect lane closures in the Montecito area on the 101 during the nighttime hours. These same off-ramps are still shut down in the Montecito area, and we are manning hard closures on surface streets in the Montecito area, and our officers have been directed to not allow anyone through these closures except for the emergency crews that are working. So please do not try to get through these closures. We will turn you away. And we know that everyone just wants to get home. We want that for you too. Now rest assured that every agency working to restore the Montecito area is working to get you home. We appreciate your continued patience and your support during this process, and we just thank you very much. Thank you.
County Sheriff Bill Brown.
Thank you, and thank you for being with us this evening. The number one concern for this operation continues to be finding the remains of the two victims who are still missing, 2-year-old Lydia Sutatepa and 17-year-old Jack Canton. We had a very big push this last weekend to try to locate them. We had 20 different human remains detection canine teams scouring the area of the Olive Mill Hot Springs waterway. And while Fabiola Benitez Calderon was found, we still have our other two victims yet to be found. And at this point, we've changed our search methodology, and as conditions settle even more, and as the ground dries out, and as people begin to move back into the area, we're going to have them removing debris, removing mud on their properties, and essentially we will have an exponential increase in the number of people who are searching for our two missing victims. Our search and rescue team, with their 4 specially trained human remains detector dogs, will be continuing search efforts on a spot basis, going back to some areas that we had trouble getting into before, and checking any other leads that come in. And we're not going to give up on this search at this point. We're still looking for those two victims. It's very important to us to try to find them, to bring some closure to these two families. I want to talk to you a little bit about the repopulation effort. The repopulation planning is progressing very, very well. It is going to be a systematic and incremental repopulation. We have a plan to let some people gradually back into their homes, and it's based on several factors. One is, first of all, safety and the road conditions, and next is utilities. And for many of you, we know it's been almost 2 weeks since you've been able to go home, and we know that you want to get back home, and we want to get you back home as quick as we can. But we have to do this systematically, and we cannot allow everyone to go back in at the same time. Montecito, you saw that videotape there, and you saw the traffic congestion that's in the emergency area, just with the emergency traffic and the truck traffic that's taking the debris out of the basins. So we have to basically do this incrementally and gradually, so we please ask you to be patient. Having said that, I'm going to take this, if I can pull it off here, and walk over to this map and show you what our plan is. The good news is that effective tomorrow, Tuesday the 23rd, this green area here, which represents section MTO9, with the exception of a small area here adjacent to the waterway, this area here down to and including Cold Springs Coast Village Road will be open. So we are anticipating that this will be released and open tomorrow. And also a small portion of MTO3 to the left of the waterway and to the edge of the current exclusion zone or a mandatory evacuation zone. That will be open as well. This is roughly 725 to 750 parcels total that will be released tomorrow. We are looking to release 2 more parcels the following day. And that is MTO 13, which is directly below and across from the freeway, as well as MTO 15 and a portion of MTO 14. The westernmost portion of MTO 14 has sustained some pretty heavy damage and will not be open immediately. But the eastern part of this section will be opened up as well. Next, we will be looking at this area here, which is Burnham Wood, Ennisbrook, and the areas that are at the base of those along Jameson Road. And following that, we'll be looking at repopulating the center portion. While we're doing these other repopulation efforts, we've got a full court press going on to get all the utilities restored and up and running in the central part of Montecito. We already have been providing, and tonight and tomorrow we'll continue to be providing access to the business owners to get into the village to prepare their businesses to reopen. And once that occurs hopefully over the next few days, we're going to look at repopulating this area. Simultaneous to doing all of this prep work over the next couple of days, we'll be working to securitize the 2 areas that are the most heavily damaged, where we have the most number of homes that are destroyed or partially destroyed in these 2 areas here. And once that's accomplished, we will look at opening up the rest of it. There's going to be a lot of issues. As an example, today we had a setback. We had hoped to release this entire area today. But unfortunately, we have found after inspections that several bridges down here at the Toro Canyon area, as well as a bridge here, right at that goes in towards Ladera, that's east of the Sheffield area, and this bridge here, the Para Grande Bridge. These 3 bridges have been tentatively condemned by crews that have looked at them, and are going to have to be replaced. And that's a multi-week, if not multi-month process. So we're looking now to try to develop alternative plans. People who live in Romero Canyon and in this other area, we're going to have to look for other routes to get them through. We want to stay as far away as possible from the truck routes, which are coming down from the basins and taking that rock that they're pulling out of those basins and getting onto the freeway and taking it back. So there's still some challenges that remain here, but the utilities have made extraordinary progress. The one utility that we won't wait for to repopulate everyone is gas, because gas has to be, it can't be turned back onto your residences until you're actually back in them. The gas company has to have a representative from the home there to get into the home to check the systems and to relight pilots and so forth. So good news from the standpoint of a couple of locations that are going to open tomorrow and in the subsequent days. I mentioned the other day that we're looking at the 31st as the time period that we want to make sure that all of our evacuation efforts are underway, and we're moving towards that goal. For those of you who are still out, life does happen. We understand that. There are needs on an emergent or extenuating basis for you to get back into your homes. We've established a specific unit of the Sheriff's Office that is accommodating those requests, and we have accommodated hundreds of those requests, escorting people back in to get important items that they need for their daily living in their homes. And we encourage you, if you have a problem, you're welcome to call, and we will do our best to accommodate those requests. We again ask you, if it's not extenuating, if it's not an emergency, to please refrain from doing that. We continue to provide a very heavy law enforcement presence in the areas that are currently evacuated, and we want to make sure that no one is coming into the area that is not conducting authorized business or being part of the recovery effort in that area. So I appreciate, again, your patience and your understanding and your continuing support as we work collectively with an extraordinary group of people to deal with this disastrous situation and get you back home as soon as we can. Thank you.
The information that the sheriff just told you that is confirmed for tomorrow, our team is back at the EOC preparing that to go out publicly. So we will be sending that to media, posting it on the website, putting it on social media. So that is coming. Our last speaker tonight, before we go to the Q&A, is Suzanne Grimacy with our County Department of Behavioral Wellness.
Good afternoon. My name is Suzanne Grimacy. I work with Santa Barbara County, the Department of Behavioral Wellness. And as has been shared before, whether you have been directly impacted or secondarily by repeated exposure to the media, the stories we're hearing about in so many places, or other ways we've all been impacted as a community, as we get ready for people to return to their homes and back to their communities and neighborhoods, returning to neighborhoods that have been damaged, homes that have been damaged, or homes that have been lost from the storm can be emotionally overwhelming. And that's on top of all the other stressors that go with this: financial impact, economic, jobs, loss of pets. The symptoms of stress and the impact of a trauma like this will go away with time, and with some with help. But it's helpful sometimes just to know what some of these signs are. So some of the common signs with stress and with a traumatic event are difficulty communicating thoughts, difficulty sleeping, irritation or having a low threshold for tolerance, difficulty concentrating, sadness, hopelessness. If you're experiencing these symptoms, or if they don't get better in time, counseling can help. We have many wonderful resources for counseling throughout our community. You can call the information line and request to speak with a counselor. That number is 1-833-688-5551. You can call anytime, now or in the future, the County Behavioral Wellness Access Line, which is available 24 hours a day at 1-888-868-1649. Or you can go directly to our local Recovery and Assistance Center, where counselors and counseling rooms that are private are available to help our community. The local Recovery and Assistance Center will remain open through February 3rd. The center is open from 11 a.m. until 6:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. on Saturdays. The center is closed on Sundays. Of the many resources available for support and also available at the LAC is state and federal disaster assistance. The Federal Disaster Declaration makes available loans, grants, and other assistance to renters, homeowners, and businesses. If you were affected by the Thomas Fire in December or the flooding and mud flows in January, you can register for state and federal assistance in many ways. The fastest way is to apply online by going to disasterassistance.gov. You can also call 1-800-621-3362 to register in a variety of languages and by video relay services. To register using a TTY device, please call 800-462-7585. The FEMA app and the local Recovery Assistance Center are available also to help with this registration process. Available assistance can include referrals to local and nonprofit agencies and financial help to address rental needs, replacement of personal property, repairs to your homes and businesses, and economic injury for businesses. Help for medical, dental, and funeral expenses may also be available, as well as disaster unemployment assistance for workers, business owners, and self-employed individuals who have lost their jobs or had their work hours substantially reduced as a result of the wildfires and associated flooding, mudslides, and debris flow in Santa Barbara, Ventura, Los Angeles, and San Diego counties. Your personal insurance will be the primary source of financial assistance, but FEMA and the Small Business Administration, which is also available for non-business owners, and state agencies are here today to answer questions and to support your recovery. Another incredible resource in our community who is also available at the LAC is the Food Bank of Santa Barbara. This week, community members can visit several locations to receive fresh produce and healthy groceries. Those locations are St. Joseph's Church in Carpinteria from 9 a.m. until noon, Harding University Partnership School on Robbins Street in Santa Barbara, the Santa Barbara County Local Assistance Center, located at Calvary Chapel at 1 North Calle Cesar Chavez, or the Franklin Community Center, which has food available every Thursday at 1 o'clock and is located on Montecito Street. Oh, and the website, yes, thank you, Gina. The website where you can go anytime to access information on the food bank is foodbanksbc.org. We have been through a lot together. Some of us will need help more than others. If you need help, get help. If you don't feel you need help right now, consider lending help to another in our community. This will all help us to recover. Thank you.
Okay, I think how we're going to do the Q&A, I've flipped through the questions in my hand, so I think we'll have agency representatives come up on the stage that I think are these questions are you can help answer. So Dr. Charity Dean with Public Health, of course, Sheriff Rob Lewin, Edison, if we have a representative from Edison. And I think with the Sanitary District, I know you wanted to give some information when people do go back to their homes. I think you could, even though we don't have a question, why don't you come on up, and when we're done with the questions, I'll have you give that brief information. And anything else that may come up. So our first question, is there still a 6 p.m. curfew for those in their homes in Montecito? And can we use our dishwashers with the high-level chlorine? So who wants to go first?
We do not have a formal 6 p.m. curfew. I know there's been some confusion. I was asked about this by someone, and apparently someone got that information in the field. However, if you are in Montecito, if you stayed there and are within that area, we don't want you moving around. And if you're in the area adjacent to it in one of the in the warning, what is now the warning zone, it's going to be opened by tomorrow. So it's kind of a moot point. There are a couple of pockets that will be problematic, and I think that's maybe what this question is referring to. There's one small pocket of that green area that is on the east side of the impact area and is only accessible through a closed road. And that road will remain closed, but we will still allow people access. If their home is intact, then it's only accessible off of that road. But I don't know where that 6 p.m. Curfew came from. But again, we would ask everyone to please, our whole goal here is to try to minimize the amount of traffic over the next few days, particularly. But as we repopulate the entire community, there's going to be a tremendous competition for roadway because there's so much additional traffic that's in there now in terms of these trucks that are coming back and forth and all the emergency equipment. And then as people repopulate, they're going to be calling contractors, and contractors are going to be coming in to give estimates and then to do work, to repair and to remove debris and so forth. So there's going to be a tremendous amount of traffic in there, which is going to create a lot of traffic problems. So we just ask for your diligence in attending to those requests. Thank you.
Related to that, so I believe the sheriff has answered the question, but I'm going to read it in case you don't feel that it was we haven't hit on all of this, that your utilities are on, your house is not damaged, and why you can't go home. And I think the sheriff has really talked about the area. If you would like us to expand on that, please raise your hand who asked that question. And otherwise, I think we've got that covered. Oh, that's right. Sorry. Second part.
I'm not sure the question is, but it was basically, can you use your dishwasher during the superchlorination of the water? You will have really clean dishes. Yes, you can. However, sometimes when dishwashers finish, there's a little bit of residual water left over, so make sure your dish is dry all the way. If you're someone that's sensitive to chlorine, then I would say the safest thing is to not do that and wait until the superchlorination is over. But for most people, if you wash your dishes normally, let all that water drain out, make sure that they're dry, you should be able to use them. During the superchlorination, you can actually smell a really strong chlorinated smell. So if you're someone that's sensitive to chlorine and you smell that, I would advise not using the water in any capacity just to be safe. But if you do use it, your dishes are going to smell like chlorine and they will be very disinfected.
There's actually several questions about repopulation and the exclusionary and the evacuation areas. So I think, again, the sheriff has talked about that. So if you have questions afterwards, we'll have you come up front and speak to the sheriff. Sure.
With respect to that, let me just add one thing that I neglected to mention when I was up here, and that is within what we're calling the exclusion zones, which are the two areas that cover Montecito Creek waterway and then the one for San Isidro Creek. We are going to, over the next several days, as the utilities get finalized, as we start the process of releasing some of the outlying areas, we're going to be moving people who have had homes that have been severely damaged and destroyed in some key impact areas. We're going to be moving them in there so that they can assess the damage, maybe remove some limited valuables that they can get easy access to, and make arrangements to get crews in there or others in there that can handle the larger lift of getting the rest of their belongings out of there. So simultaneous to the release of those outlying areas and the utilities and the roads being finalized, restriped, signs being put up, etc. While that's going on, we'll be taking this. We'll be contacting people and then taking them into that area.
Don't go far. This question is about using technology to allow residents in and out of the area, such as facial recognition and other methods, non-curfew time, so that you can stagger in and out. Have the sheriff address that.
We haven't specifically discussed using facial recognition technology, but we are in discussions and looking at the use of technology to assist in security in some of the areas where we've had the most impact in terms of keeping them secure.
Thank you. Tom, I'm not sure if this is a question for you. What is and I apologize because I'm trying to read your writing, has to do with destroying the large boulders that present a danger.
So the question, how are they being destroyed?
Yes. What is the progress on destroying large boulders?
Yeah, so in the debris basins, there are large boulders that would take up most of the stage. And so there's a hydro ram attachment that goes on a large excavator. You might have seen it. They bust up concrete, and it actually just literally pulverizes the rock into many pieces, and then you get a big piece, you have to break it up. So it's broken up into pieces that then an excavator bucket then can load into a dump truck.
Okay, these two are also for you?
I think it was 40,000 tons. How many remain? Which is 40,000 cubic yards. I think that was the question. So the current estimate by the Corps of Engineers, if I'm reading this right, is approximately 350,000 cubic yards. And so we're actually, another report is a little under 10% complete. But keep in mind that in the case of the Cold Springs debris basin, the design estimate for that basin, we actually believe we might have as much as 50% more material that basin held. Enormous mound of debris in excess of the capacity of the basin, which is a good thing. It's a lot to move, but it's better to have it stored there. And then, how many more basins to clear? Percentage done. I think percentage is something under 10%. Keep in mind, one of those basins that is very large is called our Santa Monica debris basin in Carpinteria. It actually has over 100,000 cubic yards of that material. All 11 basins are now underway. Only one is completed, and that's the Montecito Creek debris basin. But Cold Springs has significant progress in it, and San Ysidro has significant progress in it as well. And others are coming up to speed as they get the control of the water.
Next question. Rob, what can be done to protect the community during future storms from the rest of the debris still in the hills?
So the situation, of course, as you've heard us speak about before, is that there's still a lot of debris above us in Montecito. And that's why, of course, the Flood Control District and Army Corps Engineer are working to try to clear out the debris basins because they catch that debris. So what we're doing in order to protect folks is every day now we have a meeting with the scientists from the Burn Area Emergency Response Team, the Watershed Emergency Response Team, and the folks from the Department of Water Resources and California Geological Survey. And they're working really hard on trying to come up with maps. And these maps are going to probably show the what the actual map looks like. Is I believe we're heading towards creating a map that will show the high energy areas, the areas that are most violent during a debris flow, and then the areas near it that would be more areas that would flood or have mud. once we get that data, and we hope to have a very preliminary data to work with in the next couple of days, we're going to come back to you all with probably a press conference, and we're going to announce our new interactive map to show these risk areas. And these risk areas will be below all the burn areas that we've experienced in this county. It will include the areas also above Carpinteria and Carpinteria. Then we're going to identify the actions that you all should take to be able to protect yourselves. The operations folks, the first responders, as Chief Taylor spoke about yesterday, I believe, they've already prepared a contingency plan for their actions during a storm, and it is a scaled response based on the predicted weather, and it's quite comprehensive, and it relates to what they did during this storm's prediction. So we have those two things in place to be able to make you aware of the hazards that are out there, and also for our first responders to be prepared. Let me just say, though, when you return home, we, of course, want everyone to have a sense of a safety. And part of the sense of safety that you're going to have to enjoy is knowing when to leave. And we're going to do everything we can to have that. Now, I have a friend of mine who's an author who was a survivor of a wildfire. And she imparted on me that we get to choose whether we want to be a victim or a survivor. And in this case, you get to approach this future storm events in two ways. You can feel the pain of having to move out every now and again during a storm and all the harm and difficulty and confusion that causes you. Or you can try to be a survivor attitude and try to approach it as a way of, you know what, we're just going to do it, we're going to make the best of it, and pretty soon that brush is going to grow back, and the grass is going to be back, and our hills are going to be safe again. Thank you.
I don't know if we have anyone who can answer this, but very little has been mentioned about U.S. mail service. Where can I pick up my mail? Is there anyone here on the panel or in the room? I know the post office has been posting information on the website. Rob, do you have something specific?
So the post office is now at the East Beach Post Office. So you can go there, and the postmasters are both there from both the East Beach Post Office and the Montecito Post Office. We fully intend to get that post office opened as soon as possible. And I do know that the postal carriers did go into the community with our first responders, and I believe they retrieved the mail so that it was not just sitting in people's boxes.
And actually, this looks like our last question. I thought I had one for Edison. I'm sorry. But you look good on the stage. So this is a long one. Our house was destroyed, but standing and damaged. This essentially is about the house is surrounded by 3 to 4 feet of mud. Once repopulation starts, would we be allowed to have a mud hauler and debris remover company come before repopulation to clear driveways so we can have access to enter?
This is an important question for all of you. And the actions that we're focused on right now is just getting you home and making sure those debris basins are getting taken care of. But next week, we will be in a recovery position where we will form an organization that is going to completely address all of these kinds of issues. We have our county supervisor here, Doss Williams, who's going to put together a whole community advisory group. We have an organization that will have folks focused on debris and public health, on many of the issues that come with rebuilding a community and making it the new normal. And so, while we can't answer what to do with the debris on your property, the mud and others right now, that issue will be addressed. For now, when you do return home, we're not going to be able to let you push that debris into the roadways because we've got to get those debris basins cleaned out. And we can't have anything else on those roadways until we get that done. So we're going to ask for some patience as we get our rapid permitting process up to speed. We'll be opening a center in your community, and a storefront there where people will be able to go there and get the kinds of things they'll need to be able to do that kind of work, permits or whatever it is. And that's all in the works right now. And we're focused on that, but we can't be focused on that all the way yet until we do two things. We get you home, we get those debris basins cleaned out, and we have a system to be able to alert you during future storms. I don't know the details of it, but I can tell you that we recognize that we need to make it as simple on our community as possible.
And just for those who couldn't hear, the question was, will you need a permit for that? That really ends the Q&A, but I wanted to bring up Diane Gabriel from the Sanitary District because she wanted to give you some excellent advice when you do get back in your home.
Thank you. Diane Gabriel. I'm the General Manager of the Montecito Sanitary District. We are the wastewater utility for the Montecito community. And yes, I want to answer the most important question that I think folks will have when they move back into their home is, can I flush the toilet and have that not back up on me and make it safely to the treatment plant? And if we follow the repopulation plan that the sheriff has outlined, I can say absolutely yes, that will happen. But you have to follow our instructions. And it's somewhat twofold. Obviously, if you've had no mud and debris on your property, don't worry about it at all. Just go move back in your home. Use your indoor plumbing. For those of you that have had some mud and debris on your property, in your home, we want you to use some caution, because your own private lateral, your 4-inch pipeline that leads from your house to the district main, may be impacted with mud and debris. We've spent a lot of time cleaning out the mud and debris from the district's pipes, but we have not, because it's your pipe, we have to work with you to make sure that that pipeline is cleared. So we want you to call us first before you contact a plumber. We're here to partner with you on that, because our system of wastewater treatment in Montecito is really only for the water inside your home. So feel free to use your toilet, your sinks, your shower, your washers, but anything outside the home should not go to your sanitary sewer, to your wastewater line. So if your swimming pool is full of mud, if you have a koi pond or a fountain, all of that water cannot and should not go to the wastewater line, because it can back up. It could back up into your house, and it can also cause a blockage in the district's main, which would potentially cause environmental damage if there was an overflow. So we really appreciate your cooperation with that, and absolutely, we're here to help you. Check our website. You can send us an email or you can call us. Our website is montsan.org, MONTSAN.org, and our phone number is 805-969-4200. Thank you.
So that concludes the program. I wanted to make one more recognition. We have Santa Barbara City Mayor Kathy Murillo is also here. Thank you, Mayor. We will be posting the Q&A on the website, countyofsb.org. You can continue to reach out to us through Facebook, Twitter. We have Instagram, and of course that website, all focused on all the information on the recovery process. So thank you so much for being here tonight, and we'll let you know when the next meeting is. Thank you.